Hello and welcome to all the Autobots and Decepticons out there. I'm Joe, and before I start, don't forget, Victor Tempison, fantasy horror, new novel for you all, or novella I should say. It's fresh out and it's on paperback now, so get yourself a copy. And now on to the main video. This is kind of going to be a short rant rather than anything else. And this is going to be a bit of a weird complaint I have. Now, I've read a little bit of Cyberfrog, and honestly, I found it just trash. I couldn't even make a video out of that stuff. Now, the main problem I had was that it just was boring. And I've not found any indie superheroes worth talking about. Now, I'm friendly with a few creatives, and there are some whom are writing in other genres that I have enjoyed. Now, some who criticize Eric July are not writing in the superhero universe, so I consider them completely exempt from criticism in this regard. So I want that disclaimer out of the way. If you're writing fantasy, if you're writing proper sci-fi, western, whatever, you're not subject to this criticism because you're creating something very different from the genre July is operating in. And I want that to be made very clear. If you're writing, let's say, like, I think it's Richard Spengler, his one Lizard Man and Human Mercenary comic, which actually looks really cool. And he's been criticizing July, but I have no criticism for Richard. He's making good points, and he's creating something very different from superheroes. So I'm not going to criticize him. But this is about those writing within the superhero genre. And I do consider Ethan Van Sciver as writing within the superhero genre. My problem here is that there is no one really trying to make a superhero universe like July is. And I'm not terribly fond of the superhero genre. I actually have grown rather disdainful of it. I used to like it, but then I just grew up and hated it. Probably because of all the 1,000,001 Marvel movies that came out. Now, the only superhero stories I cling to are Spider-Man the Clone Saga, and maybe Jeff Jones' Green Lantern run, and a couple of the Superman comics here and there. But my problem is that a lot of the guys flinging mud at July are not trying to compete with him, or their level of competition is so subpar it's not even worth mentioning. For example, Cyberfrog. Ethan has been trying to pitch this frog at people for a decade now? And it's not been successful. So he needs to change gears, lean into his strengths, which he's not, and try challenging July directly. Now, I do understand that there's some drama behind the scenes. I don't care about that. I've written enough articles on Substack about it. You can check out the Substack. It'll be in the description. Do subscribe over there. I write really good fantasy fiction for you all. Anyways, July, while I don't think that his two ISOM comics were very good, I think Alpha Car was pretty good. Everyone knows that I liked it. And the trouble is that everybody is flinging mud at July. Even I've criticized him. But I'm not in the superhero genre, so I'd argue, bound to create competition for him. That's not my job. Now, it's the duty of all those writing within the superhero genre to offer competition, and July has encouraged it. He has gone on A Drink with Crazy's stream and said, I want competition. And A Drink with Crazy released a video earlier where he discussed these points, and this is why I'm making this video, because I'm inspired by Royce, and Royce is a good friend. And he's offered some valid criticism to myself, Lord Otter, and others. And for that, I really appreciate him. Because criticism is love, in my view. It's a French belief. And I don't have a problem with people offering criticism towards Eric July. He's got to learn to take it. But when you're just nipping at his heels and doing nothing else and just not providing any real competition, like Ethan keeps flinging mud at him, okay, sure, a lot of the criticism is valid. But the thing is, like, either put up or shut up. And I understand if people really like Ethan, but he's basically writing within a superhero mold. And the trouble is, his competition is pretty subpar to Ethan. Ethan is a very talented artist, but as a writer, he's still learning. And the trouble is that he could be really good. I mean, he helped co-write a lot of the Jeff Jones stuff. And I know that because I met him at a convention in 2008 alongside my brother, and we ended up asking him a few questions, and Ethan discussed some of the plot ideas he had and some of the stuff he's helped create. And so a lot of that stuff came out a few years later. And I got a sense of a man who does know how to write. And him and Jeff Jones were a great team. But the problem with the Cyberfrog thing is that it's not working. Added to that, I don't approve of the Andrew Tate thing because I'm not terribly fond of Tater Tot. But it just seems like Ethan is nipping at the heels and not offering any competition. At least Richard Meyer did with his Jawbreakers series. Richard Meyer is really the only real competition to Eric July. Now, I'm not familiar with the Jawbreaker stuff. I've not read it. I don't really have any familiarity with Meyer's work. So if anyone likes it, let me know in the comment section. But it's... okay, what I'm doing on the Sci-Fi Corner is just analyzing sci-fi movies, having fun, and trying to stick to stuff I like. Now, hopefully soon I'll be coming out with Beast Wars reviews and maybe reboot reviews. But the thing is, I consider superheroes part of the sci-fi genre, and so it falls into the Sci-Fi Corner. I'm not a sci-fi writer, and I never will be. Me, I'm fantasy and horror. But when it comes to competition, I find that it's okay if you're just a critic, but own the fact that you're a critic. I have stepped into the role of just being a critic when it comes to analyzing July's work and complaining about it, I guess. I am not interested in competing in the superhero genre because I don't understand the genre anymore. It's not my cup of tea. Dan would be better equipped for that, but he's busy writing other stuff. And yet, those who out to be competition are not even trying to compete properly. They're just, I guess, nipping at the heels, saying he's not going to last, and whatnot, and yet he keeps beating them in the charts. I think at some point you got to reconcile yourself to the fact that he's winning, or he's already won. He's going to be here for the long haul because he's made so much money. Yes, there's diminishing sales in some cases, but he doesn't seem to be diminishing too much. And this is not going to go away. The Ripperverse has had a mediocre start. Let's be honest. But do you know what also had a mediocre start? Batman. And look at us today. So my only point is that this universe he's created may not have fully fleshed out Isome's powers. I still find the character confusing. And may have just introduced a bunch of characters I'm still not entirely certain of the personalities of and whatnot. But he's at least trying to create a full universe. You can kind of see it taking shape. And in my opinion, you can also see some of the influence of Justice League and Spider-Man, the animated series, which the latter I hold I love Spider-Man, the 90s cartoon. It's the greatest. Anyways, this influence over him has been a positive one from what I can see. At least he's paying homage, and at least he's trying. Whereas everyone else isn't. He's doing what Don Bluth did against Disney in the 80s, competing with Disney, trying to tell them, come on, I'm kicking your can, fight me, fight me, fight me. Now, the difference is Disney actually stepped up towards the end of the 80s. They actually said, fine, we're going to, well, in their words, when they met him in private, destroy you, which is pretty melodramatic and pretty menacing. But they at least said, all right, fine. We're tired of losing. We're tired of sucking. Let's fight. Let's play ball. Marvel and DC aren't doing that. And the indie sphere doesn't seem to be doing that. So I guess my message to July's competitors is either put up or shut up. Either you start building your own universe, if you're in sci-fi superhero stuff, well, I should say superhero stuff alone, because sci-fi, like if you're making like a space opera, it's not your job. So apologies right there. But if you're making superhero stuff, whether it be a novel or other format, you do have the right to criticize if you're building a universe. If you're not, and you're, I don't know, doing whatever it is, like just making toys and not doing anything other than that, shut up. Because you're not actually contributing to the cultural conversation, so to speak. But that said, if you are building stuff up, but you're slower and you're kind of meeting with more challenges, let me know in the comments section. I'd be very interested in maybe doing reviews of it. And maybe I could stand to learn a few things about the genre. And there might be great superheroes I could help highlight and bring to light. Like, if I could contribute in any way, I would love to. But so far, all the noise on Twitter is just really annoying. And even some of the YouTube channels here are really annoying. Because while I might criticize July, I respect what he's trying to do. And I really like Chuck Dixon. He's a great writer. He and I have kind of been chummy on Twitter a few times, as he's writing some great Conan books. He's responded to my reviews of Conan. I've asked him a few questions about comic books. He's answered. So, you know, one of my favorite writers, Chuck Dixon's over there. So I'm naturally inclined towards favoring Dixon. Mike Barron's also really friendly. And they have signed on and they're working hard. And the trouble is, it doesn't seem like the competition's at all interested in pulling themselves up by the bootstrap. Now, like I said, prove me wrong in the comments section. I really want you to. And if you've got a great superhero story, let me know. Maybe I can bring it to light. And maybe I could tag Dixon or Barron over on Twitter and get them to maybe critique it. I don't know. I could try to see if they'd be interested in that. But seriously, offer competition. It's the only way this genre will start to rebuild. So anyways, don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button, and to check out my novel and also my Substack.